Hello and welcome to another edition of Islamic Finance Weekly on Web TV. This edition features key excerpts from the presentation of the President of the Islamic Corporation for the Insurance of Investment and Export Credit, Mr. Osama Kaisi, at the recent conference on Islamic finance in Lagos. While giving an overview on the development in the global economy, he described Nigeria and Africa as part of the new inclusive frontiers globally for Islamic finance.
I sincerely believe in the potential of Africa's vast reservoir of human capital and talent, which I am confident can be harnessed to its fullest capacity to serve the needs of this rising continent, its economy, citizens, infrastructure, and its aspirations. There is a general consensus among the gatekeepers of the global economy and financial system led by the IMF and the OECD that the outlook for the global economy in 2019 into 2020 is at best sluggish and at worst stagnant, albeit with the usual caveats. And no region or economy is immune nor spared, underlining the increasingly interconnectedness of the globalized world economy, despite the move towards perceivedly populist policies in several leading countries in the world. The volatility in the projections of key global indicators and market fundamentals and its knock-on effects on regions and individuals, countries, has over the last year been more than matched by the spate of revisions by international agencies pertaining to global trends in frontier indicators such as GDP growth, unemployment rates, especially amongst the young, inflation, public debt burden, predictive interest rate rise, foreign direct investments, flows, and infrastructure, ask and spend. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are living in an era where global leaders are talking about weaponizing trade and investments for narrow national interest. The collateral damage is affecting everyone and every nation. Global GDP growth, according to Fitch Ratings, is expected to fall to 2.8% this year from 3.2% in 2018. Even modest projects that growth pickups in 2020 seems to be precarious. The economic outlook for the Organization for Islamic Cooperation, OIC, countries could not be more diverse, given the nature of its memberships. Over 21 member countries of the OIC, mainly in sub-Saharan Africa, are classified as least developed nations by the World Bank. Similarly, the impact of global trends and downside risks that affected the OIC countries irrespective of their GDP or their wealth and poverty status. In the African context, the two largest economies, South Africa and Nigeria, affected by stubbornly low GDP growth rates, high unemployment, especially youth jobless, high public debt, and sluggish FDI inflows, also potential political instability in some African countries have acted as a drag on the prospects for the whole African continent. The IMF projects Nigeria's GDP growth at 1.9% for 2018, rising to 2.3% in 2019 and 2.6% in 2020. This is in contrast to the South Africa's projected growth rate of 0.8%, 0.7%, and 1.1% for the same period, respectively. Projections for Sub-Saharan Africa far better at 3.1%, 3.4%, and 3.4%, respectively.
He also gave a perspective on infrastructure financing and sustainability development through sukuk, with illustration from retail sukuk issued in Indonesia and Malaysia, and the federal government of Nigerian sukuk issued in 2017 and 2018.
We have excellent precedents, especially relating to sukuk issuance in the infrastructure sector. Dana Infra National Bird Heart from Malaysia, a wholly owned entity by the Malaysian Ministry of Finance, for instance, has issued 3 retail sukuk, one being 100 million ringgits in 2014, the proceeds of which has been used toward funding extensions of the Klang Valley Mass Rapid Transit project. These retail sukuk are guaranteed by the Ministry of Finance. Indonesia as well is a regular issuer of retail sukuk, but Jakarta has taken the concept further, combining it with social finance, Muslim philanthropy, and charitable donor concepts such as waqf, endowment trusts, zakat, and sadaqah. Indonesia, for instance, pioneered waqf-linked sukuk through a cash-linked waqf in 2018 to build affordable housing units in the aftermath of the earthquake in Lombok and Palu. The certificate issued under the sukuk are of two types: investors who seek a return on their contribution and those who wish to donate their returns. For many governments with limited resources, Islamic social finance is an ideal complement to traditional capital market instruments in meeting much needed development in the sanitation, health, and education sector. This is a stated objective of the Indonesian Waqf Agency and the Ministry of Finance, but governments need to play their role in the development of impact investment to mitigate its limited resources by involving the private sector to get more innovation solution. One of the more impactful precedents has been here in Nigeria, which has huge potential in the involvement of alternative non-interest finance and infrastructure financing, open to all, irrespective of creed, ethnicity, and faith tradition. I refer to the two federal government of Nigeria sovereign sukuk of the 100 billion naira each issued in 2017 and 2018. The latter saw retail subscription to the issuance by ordinary Nigerians reached a staggering 22.3% from a mere 5% for the debut issuance in 2017. And I will return back to the federal government of Nigeria sukuk later.
Mr. Kaisi also informed stakeholders on the role of ISIC, which was established by the Islamic Development Bank, and the support given to Nigeria and Africa so far.
Nigeria, of course, is a prominent member of the OIC and the fourth largest equity subscribers to the IDB capital. The cumulative financing approvals for Nigeria by the IDB group reached $1.2 billion at end of 2018, and there is still much to be done. That is comprising of $513 million in project finance and $695 million in trade finance, in addition to technical cooperation, assistance, and grants. One of the latest allocations from IDB to Nigeria was in September 2019, when the board approved $100 million of financing in support of the country's malaria elimination project. Distinguished delegates, ISIC has a huge stake in Africa. With 25 years of experience of operating on the continent, of its 47 member countries, 24 are from Africa, all of which are also members of the IDB. Nigeria is also a prominent equity member of ISIC. Africa is definitely a center of focus for us. We have a regional office in Rabat, and we believe that Morocco can be a gateway to sub-Saharan Africa markets, and it has shown that it's been at the forefront of the African industrialization. They have reached a certain level in capacity where they are now starting to export excess capacity, and they have a great relationship with Africa. ISIC has provided trade and investment insurance and guarantees totaling $52 billion since inception. The development impact of ISIC facility is illustrated by the volume of business insured and direct support of trade and investments from and to its member countries in a space of 25 years. This comprised of $42 billion support for exports and $10 billion in support of foreign direct investments. Since inception, ISIC has supported business worth $5.8 billion in sub-Saharan Africa, of which $2.4 billion were related to investments and $3.4 billion related to trade, credit, and import of strategic goods. The landmark projects financed including the New Dakar Airport in Senegal, the Djibouti Container Terminal, and electrification project in Sudan, Ethiopia, and Rwanda. What is especially pleasing is that this consists of support spanning a wide across-section economies, from agriculture to the services sector, highlighting our goals of broad and sustainable development.
For Mr. Osama Kaisi, the adoption of Sharia-compliant finance will go a long way in driving socio-economic development in Nigeria. And that will be all for today's edition of this program. You can send questions and comments to news@proshendi.com and reporter@proshendi.com. Also, you can engage us on our social media handles displaying on the screen. Many thanks for watching, and bye for now.